The Wizard and the Hopping Pot. There was once a kindly old wizard who used his magic generously and wisely for the benefit of his neighbors. Rather than reveal the true source of his power, he pretended that his potion, charms, and antidote were really made from a little cauldron he called his lucky cooking pot. From miles around, people came to him with their troubles, and the wizard was pleased to give his pot a stir and put things right. This well-beloved wizard lived to a goodly age, then died, leaving all his title to his only son. The son was of a very different disposition to his gentle father. Those who could not work magic were, to the son's mind, worthless, and he has often quarreled with his father's habit of dispensing magical aids to the neighborhood. Upon the father's death, the son found hidden inside the old cooking pot was a small packet bearing his name. He opened it, hoping for gold, but found instead a soft, thick slipper, but too small to wear, and with no pair. A pregnant apartment within the slipper bore the words, "In the form of herb, my son, that you will never need it." The son cursed his father's age-softened mind, then threw the slipper back into the cauldron, resolved to use it henceforth as a rubbing pill. That very night, a peasant woman knocked the front door. "My granddaughter is affected by the crop of want, sir," she told him. "Your father used to mix a special poultice in that old cooking pot." "Begone!" cried the son. "What care I for your blood words?" And he slammed the door to the old woman's face. At once there came a loud clanging and banging from his kitchen. The wizard lit his wand and opened the door, and there, to his amazement, he saw his father's old cooking pot, and he had sprouted a single foot of trash, and was hopping on the spot in the middle of the floor, making a fearful noise upon the flagstone. The wizard approached it in wonder, but fell back hurried when he saw that the whole of the pot surface was covered in words. "Disgusting object!" he cried, and tried firstly to vanish the pot, then to clean it by magic, and finally to force it out of the house. None of his spells worked, however, and he was unable to prevent the pot hopping after him out of the kitchen, and then follow him up to bed, clanging and banging loudly on every wooden stair. The wizard could not sleep all night for the banging of the warty old pot by his bedside, and next morning the pot insisted upon hopping after him to the breakfast table. Clang, clang, clang went the flat-footed pot, and the wizard had not even started his portrait when there came another knock on the door. An old man stood on the doorstep. "My old donkey, sir," he explained. "Lost, she is, or stolen, and without her I cannot take my wares to market, and my family will go hungry tonight." "And I am hungry now," roared the wizard, and he slammed the door upon the old man. Clang, clang, clang went the cooking pot single pot food upon the floor, but now its clamor was mixed with the bray of a donkey and human groans of hunger, echoing from the depth of the pot. "Be still! Be silent!" shrieked the wizard, but not all of his magical power could quieten the warty pot, with hope at his heels all day, braying and groaning and clanging, no matter where he went or what he did. That evening there came a third knock on the door, and there's on the threshold stood a young woman, sobbing as thought her heart would break. "My baby is grievously ill," she said. "Won't you please help us? Your father bade me call me trouble, but the wizard slammed the door on her, and now the tormenting pot filled with the brim with salt water, and slopped tears all over the floor as he hoped, and prayed, and groaned, and sprouted more words. Those who though no more villagers come to seek help at the wizard quarters for the rest of the week. The pot kept him informed of their many ills. Within a few days, it was not only praying and groaning and slopping and hoping and sprouting words. It was also choking and stretching, crying like a baby, whining like a dog, and spewing out bad tears and salt milk and splout of hungry slug. The wizard could not sleep or eat over the pot beside him, but the pot refused to leave, and he could not silence it or force it to be still. At last the wizard could bear it no more. Bring me all your problems, and your woes, he screamed, fleeing into the night, with the pot hopping behind him, along with the road into the village. Come, let me cure you, mend you, and comfort you, and have my father cooking pot, and I shall make you well. And with the foul pot still bounding along behind him, he ran up the street, casting spells in every direction. Inside one house, the little girl walked, vanished as she slept. The lost donkey was summoned from a distant briar patch and sat down softly in its stable. The sick baby was dosed in dittany and work, well and rosy. At every house of sickness and sorrow, the wizard did his best, and gradually the cooking pot beside him stopped groaning and ranting, and became quiet, shiny, and clean. Well, Pot, asked the trembling wizard, and the sun began to rise. The pot burst out the single slipper he had thrown it into, and permitted him to fit it on the pressed foot. Together they set up back to the wizard house. The pot forced that mouth at last, but from that day forward, the wizard helped the villagers like his father before him, let the pot cast up his slipper, and begin to hope